is Carla. My vest is gonna be too loud. It is early. It's like 6 a.m., but I'm ready early for work, so I thought that I would intro this now. I went away for the weekend, for the long weekend, with my sister and my brother-in-law and Zach, my husband, and it was so nice not being on my phone ever. We played a lot of video games, we played a lot of board games, I read a lot, and it was super nice. Monday morning I woke up, we hadn't left yet, and I turned off TikTok and I gave Instagram 5 minutes of screen time. So now it's Wednesday morning, and I guess I technically started this yesterday because I didn't go on my phone yesterday, and it's been wonderful. So this week is just kind of going to be a social media detox week. Maybe even longer. We'll see how long I enjoy this for. Because I've been feeling so stressed when I go online. It's like every 5th or 6th video is like a funny dog video, and I would love it if it was all of them, but it's just not right now, and I'm sure everybody kind of feels that way with life right now. So I gave 5 minutes to Instagram because if Zach or someone sends me a reel, I'll watch it. That's where he sends me videos the most, or like upload to my story if I want to. But my goal is not to hit ignore at all on those screen times, specifically those two, because that's where I spend a lot of my time is TikTok and Instagram. And I just don't want to. So last time I did swapping reading for screen time, I was still using my phone when I wasn't reading, right? Like it would be like, oh, you have to read for 2 hours today. So I'd read for 2 hours, and then in the middle of the day, I would just go on my phone. So yesterday at work, there was not too much on YouTube that I wanted to watch, and I wished I had my book on me. So that is really good. So I'm going to bring it to work today. I don't usually read on my lunch break just because I get distracted a lot by people, or, depending what you're reading, you don't want to read like steamy stuff at work, which might end up happening. Unless there's something good on YouTube. I'm not banning YouTube because I pretty much just watch it when I'm on eating or cooking or whatever. That is the plan for this week. I technically started yesterday. You probably saw that. It was like 90 pages into things we never got over. And then I read for a couple of hours last night, and now I am on chapter 23, 237 pages, and I am really enjoying it. I didn't have my highlighter on me last night. I could have come down and got it. I was laying on the couch in the living room. But, so what I do when I don't have a highlighter or tabs or whatever is I text myself page numbers, and I did a lot of that because I was really enjoying the book. Because I loved it. I'm loving it. I thought that it started out really cringy and that I'd be able to expect certain things, but everything kind of is new. It doesn't feel like a typical trope romance book that I've read before, and that is saying something. I said in my last video, because I started this while I was doing my last vlog on my trip, that I didn't understand why Whaley knew people so well, even though she had only lived there for a year, and now they've addressed that, so that's really good. Our main character, Naomi, goes to where her sister lives because her sister asks her to come see her, but then her sister is not a very good person, so she is left with a niece she didn't know she had and just trying to get by while she can, as best she can. And of course there's romance involved. The guy who finds her a place, and they live next door to each other on the same property. It's very grumpy sunshine, but she's not super sunshine. I'd say it's like grumpy responsible. And I think one of my favorite parts of this book is that when you're in her POV, she actually is so self-deprecating and so unsure of herself and so human, and you're like, okay, maybe your inner thoughts are not my favorite. And then you get Knox's POV, and it doesn't have any of that because he doesn't see her that way, and it's beautiful. I haven't read a book like that. I think most dual POVs kind of are written as if they know the inner beings of each other in a way, because the author writes how they want both characters to be, and they know both of them so deeply. But this is written as if each character doesn't know one another that well, but they write what they see at face value. I don't know how to explain it. It's really beautiful. Like, I just don't know that I've read a book like that before. So that's really cool. I also think that the romance is just really beautiful. It's a slow burn, which I don't think I was expecting because of how it started off just a quick cringe. And then I was like, oh, is this just going to be 500 pages of smut? But it's not at all. And I do love we're not in a relationship, but it's very obvious to everyone that we're in love with each other or that we like each other. So I was not expecting too much. I also usually hate pop culture references, but there's been 2, and both of them I'm like, oh, I like those things. I think it was Ted Lasso, and I forget what the other one was. I'm really enjoying it. I'm going to bring it to work. I'm going to keep my TikTok and my Instagram off. and we'll kind of see how the day goes. I won't get a lot of reading done today, but I have started working out in the morning. Like, I've already worked out, so I just have to walk the dogs, make dinner. I love making dinner. I always say, like, I have to do these things. I love my life. I plan these things out on purpose, and then edit, and then maybe I'll read for a little bit before bed. It's really good, so I want to. And I don't have to work out tomorrow morning because we volleyball at night, so I can sleep in. So I might stay up reading tonight in bed because I am really enjoying it and I'm hoping to finish it soon. Some intense stuff just happened, and I think we're getting to the meaty, nitty-gritty part of the book. There's like multiple subplots, because you look at a romance book like this and you're like, does it have to be that long? Yeah, it does. These subplots are so good. That's my update. I should leave for work now. Oh, she's purring loud. I have about an hour of peace while Zach takes the dogs to the park. It's his turn today, my turn tomorrow. So I thought I'd go through my book and highlight, I think I'm about halfway, and highlight everything that I texted myself yesterday, all the page numbers that I texted myself while I didn't have a highlighter, just while I watched some YouTube, because there's a lot. I think the first one didn't start until about page 100, so most of them are within a very short span. So what I usually do is I pick 3 colors of tabs that match this, and I used this to match the front cover. So I think this book will be romance, a different color for the found family bonding moments that she has with like Whaley and her friend Steph and all of the other people. And then I usually do a 3rd color that's just quotes I like. I'll see if there's a 4th. I'm not sure if I can think of one right now. Like, if there's humor in a book, I'll do like things that made me laugh as a different color, which maybe actually I should do in this one. But most of those things I think relate to the relationships that she has. I don't think anything makes me laugh where it's separate from that. I think most of it's Whaley. She's a hilarious 11-year-old. And then other books I'll do like the sad parts will be something, or, you know, something. I usually end up with 3 colors though. So I'm going to pick 3, and I'm going to try to do yellow, this dark purpley blue, and I don't think I have white. I don't think the tabs come with, oh, there is like an off-white. There's the yellow, dark purpley blue, or I should just go blue. I have so many blues, it'd be stupid not to use one of them. Okay, I'm going to find something to watch on YouTube while I do this. No, you know what I'm gonna watch? I said YouTube. I'm gonna watch Bake Off. Secondary color for this romance. It's gonna run out quick. Okay, done for now. So I'm not quite halfway. I have the tabs that I wanted in there. So beautiful. I'm going to start by saying that I took a sick day today. I woke up and my face was just completely puffy again. And I don't know why. It's gone down a lot faster than ever before, and it didn't feel the same as when I had an allergic reaction, so I'm not sure. But I took the day. I'm glad I did. I was like, you know what? I'm not feeling that sick. I just feel like pressure, and I couldn't really see out of my right eye that well. But I was like to Zach, oh yeah, because you go to work all day. You do all the stuff you have to do out. I got the dogs. I'll clean the house. It's 3:30 p.m. and I just texted him and I said, P.S. didn't clean the house at all, but I am almost finished my book and I think that's more impressive. And he hearted that message, so that's what I call support. I have less than 100 pages left and still loving it. I have a lot of thoughts and I feel like at this point I should just save them for the end. I will say in the 400s we got a new character who's like super cool and lovable. I love meeting the other future couples and just knowing ahead of time. That's kind of nice. I was also going to update probably, I don't know, 100 pages or so ago when the 3rd act scene started, and I was hoping that this whole part of the book would be more about the subplots coming to fruition, and it kind of was just something else. And I was like, you know what, it's believable, that's fine, I can handle it. And now it's kind of dragging out and it's getting a bit wordy and I'm not loving it. I just think if this thing happened in my life the way that it did in Naomi's, with this situation, this third act conflict, I wouldn't be as nice as her. Let's just leave it at that. She's very nice, very forgiving, but we know that. That's kind of a theme of the book, right? She's very forgiving and always sees the best in people. So good for her. My favorite trope was added about halfway through, and I was really excited about that. So I was also going to say that if I updated earlier, but now I actually realized it was not as big of a part as I was hoping it would be, but that's okay. She's kind of tricking me here and there by putting all these different nuggets in, and then it's like you don't know which one is going to follow through, and the wrong one followed through in my opinion, but that's okay. That's fine. It's fine. Not every book can be written in the exact way that I want it, or it would be not what other people want. I understand that. But if we're being picky, I would have solidified in that a little bit deeper and not the one that she chose. There's a whole weird part in like 2 chapters straight, and then it comes up again later about periods. Not like in a Saltburn way, just in like a conversation way. And it still rubbed me the wrong way, because it's fine to like make jokes and normalize it. I think that's great when men and women can talk about these things and have it be normal. But this kind of went too far. Didn't shut up about it. I would say most of the conversations in this book are believable, and that one just it hit me weird and I didn't like it, and I was like, oh, this kind of makes me feel weird. And then also the smut scenes are off. I'm just gonna say the use of the word milking is not my thing, and I'm gonna leave that at that. I feel like I've said this in a lot of books I've read recently, and I'm not like a boo smut person. It's just cringy. It's just cringy how they write it. And then it goes to cute. Like I have highlighted stuff in between all the stuff that's making me cringe, which is really interesting. So maybe there's something for everybody there. I'm gonna now leave the rest because I talked for way too long for not being done the book. So I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna enjoy my coffee while I finish it. We'll do a recap later, either today or tomorrow. I'm not sure what book I'm gonna read next. I started off this month really sad because I didn't read for the first week. And it's because I had put, it's right here actually, I'm in my bedroom. I had put The Pale Horseman on my nightstand with the thought that I would read this first just to get it off my list, because I picked it for my November TBR and I was like, oh, I'm dreading reading this one, so I just got to read it first to get it over with. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to unhaul it and not read this series if that's the way that I'm feeling about it. I kind of just have to listen to that feeling. I haven't read it all year. I've had it on my shelf all year, so I think I'm gonna unhaul it, take it off the TBR, and be much happier with my life. So we'll see what I read next. I will say the one thing that I'm missing about Instagram is creeping people. Because like this morning I watched a couple of episodes of British Bake Off, and I wanted to creep people who are on there, and I'm like, I don't have Instagram, I can't do it. It is a couple of days later, and I realized I finished this book like an hour after that last clip, and I never did a recap on it yet. I think one of the things that this book does really well is other books where you have like the grumpy sunshine or the enemies to lovers tropes. They're not so believable because like the grump or the person you're not supposed to like is not actually that bad, and the sunshine is usually overly peppy and I don't like them. But this is the opposite, where like I prefer Naomi's sunshine version because she's also just not perfect and not very annoying, and I could never be with someone like Knox. I think he stays a consistent jerk throughout, and it's very easy to see why they didn't get along at the beginning and why he's not people's favorite person. You know those books where you read it and they're like, nobody likes me, I'm grumpy, and it's like, you're actually super kind to everybody you talk to, so I don't know what you're talking about. This is not that. Like, it's very believable fights that they're having and reasons that they don't get along, and I appreciate that for what it is, for sure. I think that this book was a good length for the subplots and everything that was going on. The ending maybe dragged out a little bit too long, but I like that the conflict resolution happened the way that it did. So in the end, I rated this book 4 stars. And I think that it's still sitting at that a couple of days later, so that's pretty good. I have a lot of tabs in it. So I go through my reading journal after, I go through this, and I write everything down, all the quotes that I loved. And I think I only actually ended up writing down 2 quotes because most of it's dialogue. This book is very dialogue heavy, and I didn't even realize that as I was reading it. And then I was rereading the quotes and I was like, oh, I'm just enjoying the dialogue between characters and this family that they've built together. So I kind of love that too. So this is a 4-star book. It will stay that. I will continue to read the series. I think I might be more interested in future couples because I also write down my favorite characters in all of the books that I read. And in this one, I did Whaley. I love how she was written in this book. I think it's very difficult to write an 11-year-old in a way that I would enjoy, but I loved her. She was my favorite character in this book. And I think it's because she was forced to grow up faster than she should have, so it kind of made her talk like an adult at times, but she was so well written as like this understanding adult, but she was still a kid who made mistakes and did stupid stuff. And the other character I wrote down was Lena, who comes in 400 pages in. I didn't find that Knox or Naomi were my favorite characters. I feel like I can't rate a book higher than 4 stars if neither of the main characters were my favorite characters in the book. Okay, so when I was finished that book, I picked up The Ninth Reign on my Kindle. This is on my TBR for the month. I thought I can go into some fantasy now that I've done romance. And I'm about 25% of the way through, and I'm loving it. I would say that at times I actually feel like it's more sci-fi than fantasy. I'm forgetting people's names because they're like fantasy names. So Vintage, I think, is one of the main characters. She's 40 years old and she's human. And then Tor, I don't know his full name, but his nickname I think is Tor, I don't know how old he is because he's not human and he's like kind of immortal, and he's part of this group of peoples that are not human. Them and the humans don't get along. Basically, there was this ancient war that people all remember happening where I have to see what his group of people is called. Eborans. Eborans had this tree that was their god that gave them a life sap, and then the tree died. So they were not as immortal anymore. And then their people started to die as the tree died because it wasn't giving them their life sap anymore. And then the Eborans realized that they could live off of human blood. So they started to drink human blood, causing this huge war. And now it's hundreds of years later, or 100 years later, I'm not exactly sure. So this guy Tor left his homeland to live among the humans, who are also being infiltrated by this third group of like parasitic, deadly things. So it's like a 3-way enemy thing, and the humans only like the Eborans when they help them fight these worm creatures, is the gist I'm getting. There's also a witch. Noon is a witch, and she is currently my favorite character, but the witches are also being held captive by humans. I really appreciate that the way that you get the information about these wars is Vintage's. Like every few chapters, it will start with a diary entry or a letter from Vintage who's trying to study these things to someone or in her journal. And I think that's a really good way of getting this information across and then reading the chapter. So that you kind of have this base information without it having to be learned through dialogue between people, and you know exactly what you're trying to pick out of the chapter that they're giving you this journal entry at the beginning of. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, I'm a quarter of the way through. I think it's also another long book. It's like 600 pages, but I might finish it today or tomorrow. It's the next morning. It's almost 9. I read for hours last night. I just kept reading. I couldn't stop. I think I fell asleep holding it and had to wake up and turn off my Kindle. And then I woke up at 4 a.m. with some gnarly cramps. So I read for another hour and a bit. So I think I have just under 2 hours left, it says. So I will for sure finish that this morning. I think there are times when I think it's getting slow, and then I realize it's just like this beautiful, slow build of like development and relationships. It's so beautiful the way that this story is written, and it's definitely a sci-fi. I don't care what it says online. I haven't actually checked yet, but this is not a fantasy book to me. This is 100% a sci-fi book. I feel like it could be an episode of Stargate, these monsters that they found, or this group that they found. And I'm making so many guesses, and I have so many things that I think are going to happen at the end of the book. But I don't know. I feel like some of them could be red herrings, just the way she's writing. I'm not sure yet if it'll be a 5-star. It depends how it wraps up, because it is the first book of a series. It's definitely an introduction book, right? They have to introduce you to the characters and the world and this system. It's not boring. Like, it's written in a very good introductory way while still being plot heavy and action-packed. We'll see if my predictions come true, because there's nothing worse than reading a 500-page book and having the conflict resolution be like 3 pages. So I really don't expect that, but you never know. I'll read this in about 20 minutes, so probably like 9 to 11, and then I'll be done that. And then we'll see where my day takes me. Hello. So sorry about this lighting. It's winter. What else can I say? It's also kind of late. So like I thought, I finished the 9th reign at 11, like 11:02 or something. And I loved it. I gave it 4.5 stars. But now it's a few hours later and I can't exactly say why I'm rating it 4.5 stars. I just know that I really enjoyed it. So that's interesting. I think because it took me less than 48 hours to read, I kind of have to say, I think it was close to 24. When did I start this? I don't even know. But I think I have to rate it well because of that. That's a big feat for an almost 600-page book, I think. Anyway, I'm definitely going to read more from this author and the rest of this series for sure. There's a puppy at the door. Do you want to open the door? You can come in. Okay. It's a relatively simple world to understand, which I actually really appreciate because I find that a lot of fantasy worlds go really complicated, which I like, but I don't really want to go super complicated for a trilogy. I don't know. I think I also just have to be in the right mindset for it, and this is what I was in the mood for, and it hit right. I think I read it at the right time. Maybe that's a big part of it too. Still online, like it says that it's high fantasy, but a lot of people seem to agree in the world that it should be. I'm labeling this a sci-fi, okay? I think at its root, it's a sci-fi. I'm calling it sci-fi, okay? I'm re-genring this book. I'm really glad I read it. I'm really glad I read it quickly. I think it's not a book that you can take too long to read because it just wouldn't hit the same. I truly feel that. So maybe that's part of it, but it also was easy for me to get into it. I had to force myself kind of through the first little bit, just like I do with any fantasy, but I really enjoyed it. So that was book 2. It is Sunday, and I think I introed this video on Tuesday, but I had started the book the day before that, which is fine. Technically, I guess it's over, but not. Maybe it should be going till tomorrow. I've decided it's 8 p.m. I'm trying to not do morning workouts and go to bed around 10 because that gives me 7 hours of sleep. So I was thinking, what book can I read that I want to read? And there's one on my November TBR, and that is Prince Caspian. So I'm going to read the next Narnia book to finish this off. Still haven't gone on TikTok, and I think I'm still gonna not. I think I'm gonna see if I can avoid it for as long as possible. I don't feel like I miss it. I'm really enjoying all of the reading that I'm getting done. So I think that is awesome. And I would like to start my next video tomorrow. So this feels like right timing. So I'll finish Prince Caspian either today or tomorrow. We'll see. I think they usually take me about 3 hours to read. I'm not sure. How long are these books? I don't know. I think I'll read for a couple of hours now before bed, have a hot chocolate, and then I'll finish it tomorrow and I will move on. I apologize if I have morning voice right now. I tried to drink lots of water and I've been up for about an hour. I have time before work, so I thought that I would recap Prince Caspian. I finished this last night. I started this last night. I think it might be shorter than the other ones. I don't know. I feel like I read it really fast. If you don't know, Prince Caspian is one of the Narnia books following The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I guess there were some letters between C.S. Lewis and some other people who decided that they were like, oh, I think that this is the order that your book should be in because it's chronological. And in his letters, he maybe agreed. And so they changed the publication order from what it was. So now, like, this is HarperCollins, and this is the order that they printed in now. So I read it as book 4, and I'm going to keep going the way that they have it published because it is chronological, so it makes sense to me. So I read The Magician's Nephew first, which is the professor's story from when he was a child and found Narnia, and then The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe comes next, and they go to stay in the professor's house, so he believes them, that kind of thing. And then I read The Horse and His Boy, and now I read Prince Caspian, number 4, which is them going back to Narnia, if you're not sure. Watch the movie, it's really good. I prefer the movie to this book. The first one is tied to me, I think, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but this one I definitely preferred the movie. It wasn't bad. It was still like whimsical, and C.S. Lewis writes wonderfully, but most of the book, I want to say Prince Caspian's stuff was really interesting because he started when he was a child and grew up into when he's running away from his uncle who wants to kill him so that he can't be the next heir. And his part was really good, which was probably like the middle chunk, because the beginning it starts with them going back to Narnia, and then it's his story, so you find out why they're there. And then it goes back to everybody, but mostly them, traveling to find him, which was really boring. And there's not like this great battle in the same way that there is in the first one against the witch. And there was like a little piece at the end that I did kind of skim. Oh, this is really boring. I don't know these characters who have a chapter of talking to each other and to their king. I think it's supposed to be funny, but I didn't find it funny. So I kind of skimmed that a little bit. I think that the movie maybe made my expectations too high because I really enjoy the movie, both of them. And they are hardly with Prince Caspian in this book. They just go to him to be like, hey, we're here to help. And then it moves on. And that's their communication. I feel like if he's going to be the next king, wouldn't you want a scene of him like learning all he can from them? Maybe it happened and it was just in the background and he just didn't put it in the book. I'm not sure. I rated this 3 stars in the end because I did really enjoy it, but it wasn't amazing. I thought The Horse and His Boy would be my least favorite, but I think I liked that more than this because it wasn't really their story and it was a standalone, but it was a really good story. This kind of just seemed like a description of events. And I said it was whimsical, and it was, but not so whimsical because it's New Narnia where there's not really the talking animals. Like, it's just kind of a sad place. So he depicted that well. Anyway, so that was the 3rd book I read this week. And that is going to conclude my week of reading instead of going on TikTok and social media. So like I said yesterday, I think I'm going to keep TikTok off. I am going to turn Instagram back on because I realize I don't see much on there. It might actually just be a case of me like unfollowing the things that give me this life anxiety and just following the things that are entertainment. Or maybe I can just snooze them for 30 days and see how that goes. I will need to stay off of it for my next reading challenge. So if you want to see what that is, join me next week. It includes a lot of books for the foreseeable future. So I will see you there.